Hi, this is John Binder. You're listening to TV Confidential.
Well, let's hear it for him. Come on out here.
Ed Robertson, welcome you to this week's edition of TV Confidential, radio talk show about television that will welcome back Stefanie Powers. In our second hour, Stefanie Powers, the actress known around the world as Jennifer Hart on Heart to Heart, and April Dancer, the girl from U.N.C.L.E. We'll ask Stefanie about the circumstances that led her to star in The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. and a whole lot more when Stefanie Powers joins us in our second hour. We hope you stay tuned for that. In the meantime, we'll begin our first hour by welcoming two-time Emmy Award-winning writer and producer Robert Iles. In the course of his 42-year career writing and producing comedy in television, Bob Iles was fortunate to work with such icons as Norman Lear, Aaron Rubin, George Schlatter, the Smothers Brothers, Mary Tyler Moore, Dick Van Dyke, Don Knotts, Carol Burnett, Lily Tomlin, Red Fox, Dick Clark, Brandon Tartikoff, Stevie Wonder, Robin Williams, Steve Allen, Steve Martin, Fred Willard, Harry Shearer, Bill Cosby, Sherman Hemsley, and too many others to mention. He also bore witness to an industry that underwent many seismic changes in those 42 years, from the three-network universe that he and many other baby boomers grew up with to the emergence of fourth networks, fifth networks, sub-networks, cable and digital networks, and viewing on demand platforms, all of which not only changed the form of television one way or another, but required a certain flexibility on Bob's part to adapt with those changes if you wanted to continue to thrive. That is one of the takeaways you will find in Bob's new book, Funny is Money, a rollicking, candid, very funny, yet often very poignant look at his career in television. We'll tell you more about Funny is Money in just a second. Robert Iles, welcome to TV Confidential.
All right, thanks, Ed. It's great to be here. I've been trying to get on here for many years.
Well, no, we have several people in common.
Yeah.
Both actual real relationships.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we do. Yeah.
And connections via social media. And no, Bob was joking when he said this. We've been talking about doing this for a long
for a while,
time,
yeah.
and I'm glad we finally did it. And I hope this is not going to be your last appearance on our program.
I hope not too.
We cannot cover everything you've done and all the experiences you share in one program. But I want to start. There are like 4 or 5 takeaways I got as a reader, and I think they touch on some of the other things you talk about in your book, but in no particular order. At the time you broke into television, you were hosting an FM radio show on the campus station for USC, your alma mater.
Right.
And in a way, the fact that you were working in FM radio kind of symbolized the start of your career in television. You had an FM radio mentality at a time when network comedy was still very much in AM mode. What do you think of that?
That's true. That's true because, I don't know how much we fancied ourselves underground radio guys, but I guess we were, and FM was just burgeoning at that time. I remember Joe Pine joked about, where do you get, nobody's going to listen to you, you're going to be on some FM station somewhere. Well, go now, AM is now, kind of at least equal. They're equal now.
Yeah.
But we kind of this unabashed show that we did. It wasn't, I always like to say it's sort of like Howard Stern in a way, because kind of free for all, but not raunchy at all. But we had the USC people hovering over us, first of all, the donors and everything. But but then the first job we got in television was the Tennessee Ernie Ford show, Sing America Beautiful.
Yes.
And then we went to Disneyland to kind of search, places to shoot the thing, and they made me get a haircut. So already it was like how long hair was gone. I'm working for Tennessee Ernie Ford, a very conservative guy, a nice guy, but a very conservative guy. And so all my FM mentality was kind of drifting off. So, I mean, eventually we found some things that in TV, in network TV, or at least, the syndicated TV that was along our wavelength, but mostly it was it was doing kind of real middle of the road stuff, at least at first, just to make a living.
Yes, but how you got that gig
Ah,
is it touches on one of the other
hmm
takeaways or overall themes of your book, Bob,
hmm
which is we all need a lucky phone call
Yeah,
every now and then,
yes.
but you have to be ready to act on that call when it happens.
hmm
And you were. I mean, this happened. This happened several times in your life, and each
Yeah,
time you
yeah,
were ready to roll.
yeah, yeah. We had, I mean, KUSC. We wrote a lot of sketches and TV takeoffs, and we were kind of in. Not, I don't know if it was professional comedy exactly, but it was it was our practicing. We were practicing comedy at least. So we did take this, as you're kind of referring to. We did take this TV writing course at USC, and the guest lecturer was a guy named Digby Wolf, who's my Alexa's talking. My he was one of the co-creators of Laugh-In, a British guy, really great guy. And toward the end of we're getting up to the Christmas break. So he said that he was going to be producing a Tennessee Ernie Ford special for NBC, and he could hire a couple of student writers. So we kind of sort of made a little contest out of it. So I think maybe one other guy, this is another lesson in life. One out of the class of maybe 30 or 40, I forget how many, it wasn't that huge. He wrote the assignment was to write a Tennessee Ernie Ford monologue. So I think he did one. I don't know if he did or not. He said he would, but we did one. My partner Jim Stein and I, we were students together there, and we did the radio show together. So we researched Ernie Ford. I knew a little bit about him. We went into the USC library and researched Ernie Ford. He was on the cover of Time magazine, 1958 or something. So we wrote up a Tennessee Ernie Ford monologue. We handed it in to Digby, and then we went on the Christmas vacation. We didn't hear anything, and we knew it was going to start up in the following January. So I got up the gumption. He was in the phone book, another sign of the times.
Back when you
So I
could do
said,
that. Yes.
yeah, I said, it's got to be Wolf Digby. It's got to be him. How many people are named Wolf Digby? So
Mhm.
anyway, I called him up and I said, hey, I'm a little nervous. I said, hey, man. I don't know if I said man. I maybe said Mr. Wolf.
Well, you were in your 20s, so
Yeah.
it's quite possible you did that. So,
Do you, what's going on with that Ernie Ford thing? And he said, oh, you're hired. And I said, oh my God. And that started this career. It was that little acorn. But yeah, to your point, yes, you need to stumble across those things or seek them out, or I don't know how, because people ask all the time, how do you get started? But he was a hero to us, and he really nurtured us. Eventually, put us on another show, the Bill Cosby show, the variety show, not
yeah,
the
the
not the
one that
doctor
ran the
show.
one 13 out in the early 1970s
It
on
was
CBS.
72, and it was on for a whole year, but they pulled somebody, I guess CBS pulled the plug at the end, but we got our writer's stripes during that show, but that Cosby show. But anyway, yeah, Digby had the magic phone call that there were a few of those over the years.
There were a few there were a few of those. It is one
Yeah.
of the 39. Actually, that's a misnomer because you have 39 stories, but then you
Yeah.
have a bunch of bonus stories.
Yeah, yeah. I
You know,
couldn't stop.
as Carl Reiner would say, you have an extra portion at the end of the book. So
It's an extra portion of pie.
yes,
Yeah, because they weren't quite big enough, or I don't know why. I just tacked them on there because they were left out, but they're
if Funny is Money, Bob's book, if it were a DVD, the extra portions would be part of the
right.
bonus features of
There
the
you go.
DVD of your book. So
Bonus features.
yes. Funny as Money, 39 true stories about how I made a ton of money writing TV comedy by our guest, Robert Iles. Not only takes you behind the scenes on the most recognized TV shows and TV stars the past 4 or 5 decades, but shows how one of the keys to building and maintaining a career in a competitive industry like television is forming and developing relationships with the various people that you work with. Funny is Money available hardcover, paperback, and as an ebook through our friends at Bear Manor Media, as well as Amazon.com. You can follow Robert Iles on Facebook.
Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Ed Robertson, thanking you for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss our next episode.
Hi, this is George Slaughter for TV Confidential. Watch it. Don't watch it, listen to it.
So, hello, welcome to the show, the Zany Show of Stein and Isles.
There's also a Facebook page for the Stein and Isles radio show that you did.
Right.
You did there. It had two carnations or incarnations.
Oh,
Original
true.
at USC, and then you brought it back for a time on KIEB, a station down here.
Right, which is now called KRLA.
Yes.
They took the call letters from the old KRLA. But yeah, we did that briefly about like 20 years after we did our KUSC shows.
I've had a chance to talk to a lot of writers in the course of doing my program. And one, for lack of a better word, commonality is that when it comes to writing, for some reason, when it comes to writing writing comedy for television is often a two-person operation. There are a lot of comedy teams. Why did you form a team, and why do you think there's so many? Why do you think it takes two people more often than not to write comedy and television?
I think number one is fear. So you have somebody you can share the fear with. No, well, Stein and I were a team. We teamed up on KUSC. He had a show originally, and I interloped on his show, and then we started doing funny bits together. So it was kind of natural that we would continue doing that, writing TV comedy. Yeah, I know several teams, notable teams, but and a lot of soloists. But I assume it's in our case, I guess it's just a collaboration of like, I'm serious about that. Share the pain, and kind of strategize, and at least you have somebody to bounce ideas off of, and in the ideal situation, one has a strength that the other does not, and vice versa. So Stein was a pretty good idea man. I was a pretty good, just raw writer, and it's probably more of a writer than he was. But we split up eventually. But we had a pretty good, in our case, a pretty good camaraderie in that realm. And I think it's the case of the other teams that we, either ones that hired us, older guys that seem to be kind of along the same lines. There were one, because they're generally distinct. One was the hilarious guy, one's a serious guy. I mean, it just, to navigate that world, I suppose that's useful, and you get two for the price of, well, not exactly two for the price of one, but you get maybe two for the price of 1.5 if you're a network.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot of soloists, but yeah, it seems like there is a number of, I'm thinking about it, they had a number of teams that I either hired or worked with. So I guess it's just a thing. Well, I knew one 3-man team, which was not the greatest, but there's that too. They just went from place to place, I guess.
But to kind of dovetail what you said, and that often one half the team is strong on story, the other is strong on beats or jokes, and so you work together. And when you were with Jim Stein for about 25 years, and
Right.
as you both grew in the industry,
Yeah.
you had opportunities where you not only were writing together, you were producing shows together,
Yes.
and even then, the way you produce shows together, you played, you worked on your strength, and he worked on
Right.
his strength, and you got the things done.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in on shows we were executive producers of, which like you're the boss.
Yeah.
We would kind of divide it up where he'd be in development, like we could take maybe half of our staff and pitch stories, or maybe people would come in and pitch stories. And then I was in current, so I was revamping the current show that we're going to be doing that week or whatever. And so that worked out pretty well. Of course, there's a slop over where I'd help him with stories, or he'd have some ideas on the show that we're doing. So yeah, we kind of divided things up along those lines in different ways. And I would go down and talk if there was a problem on the stage. I'd be the one to go down there and talk about it with them, and he would be dealing with the staff during that time. So it kind of worked out pretty well.
We mentioned in one of our resets that the key to building a career and sustaining a career in an industry like television is remembering that television, like any industry, is an industry built on relationships.
Right.
There are a lot of different relationships that you got to navigate in the course of a career that had as much legs as yours career had, Bob, but one of which is always remember a relationship with the producer is far more important than a relationship with any given agent.
Any given agent?
Agent.
Ah, you did say agent, as in like
agent.
Mike Ovitz, for example?
Yes.
Yes. Well, yes, because after a while, because when you first start out, if you're lucky, you get a pretty good proactive agent. We were lucky to get Ovitz, who at the time was just barely maybe a year older than us, or then he became this superstar. If anybody knows showbiz history, but he would get us little jobs here and there, and then after a while, I became friendly with George Schlatter on the Cosby Show, the Cosby Variety Show, and he hired us several times, and then we worked on. We met Kukoff and Harris, who are really good friends of ours, older guys than us, but they hired us on a Phyllis Dilley's 102nd birthday party special, and then we collaborated with them on Joe and Sons. I mean, we sold that show, and then they came on as like basically our supervisors, and the grown-ups. So then he hired us many times. We were kids. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, But they were great guys, and they hired us a number of times. So after a while, regarding the agent part, yeah, pretty soon the agent didn't have to do much, because you basically, the Dick Clark people, Bill Lee and others, we got involved with them, and he hired us many other times. So pretty soon it was just more of them calling the agent, our agent, to so that was crucial. So you try and be friends with everybody. I mean, I have great stories of that. That's a cautionary tales about that. But yeah,
because at the end of the day, the producers are the people you're going to be meeting with. The producers are the people you got to sell yourself to.
Right.
If you're pitching stories or interviewing for an opening, and ultimately they're the ones that you're going to be working with, if they hire you or you hire them. So
yeah, and if you're somebody that they can rely on, then they're going to want to do that in future situations. And the same with us. A number of guys we would just bring with us from show to show, and so we were kind of passing that along, that ethos, where we really want to get these guys, we want to work with these guys, and we would get them hired.
We'll pick up that thread on the other side of the break. Robert Iles is with us via Zoom. Robert Iles, two-time Emmy Award-winning writer and producer. Bob's book, Funny is Money, available Bear Manor Media as well as Amazon.com. Take a quick time out. We'll continue our conversation with Robert Iles. We come back here in TV Confidential.
Listen, were you forced into getting a solar contract and now you just don't want it anymore? Maybe the solar company misled you. Or is your solar contract buried with hidden fees? Are you not saving the amount of money you thought you would on your energy costs? Don't worry. At the Solar Exit Hotline, we can help you cancel your solar contract, even if the panels are already installed. Our experienced legal team will review your contract and help you cancel it, possibly saving you thousands of dollars. You got to call right now for complete details. So listen, if you're not happy with your solar contract for any reason, we are here to help you cancel it. Call the Solar Exit Hotline now for immediate options to help you exit your solar contract. This call is 100% free.
800-908-7197. 800-908-7197. 800-908-7197. That's 800-908-7197.